What's up, guys? Welcome into Good Morning Lambeau. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on Packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_access. You can email us, PackersTotalAccess@gmail.com. Text us, 865-658-5824. Join alongside Tim in Green Bay. I know he's got the diesel revved up this morning. A little coffee in the cup yet, Tim, or not? There it is.
That's Happy Halloween. No, this isn't a Halloween costume. This is just my face in the morning. Sorry to scare everybody.
He said, "Happy Halloween. Sorry your birthday was so lame." Some of you guys got that. Some of you did.
Hey, Clay, I think you got we got that mic issue again. Your camera stole you.
Nice. Let's see what this camera decided to do here, shall we?
Yeah.
Just a second, guys. Just a second.
You got that Halloween microphone on today. It's
all spooky, right?
It's all spooky sounding. I love it.
This is interesting, Tim. It's showing that Snowball's got it. I don't know, man. I don't know.
Uh-oh. Maybe that's my sound then. Oh, well. We'll do it live. Let's go.
Some people got that one too, right? Yeah, it looks like the Snowball's actually not even popping up. This is a big problem here, man. Big problem. So the audio is going to be crap all show, I guess. That's interesting, right? I'm going to dive into the settings. Tim, tell us what's on your mind this morning. Tell us your life story, all that good stuff, as I try to figure this out.
Well, I've been awake for about 10 minutes now, and I'm getting the diesel going, getting ready for the Halloween festivities of the day, which is just giving out candy, enjoying the beautiful fall weather that we have, and then going to get myself some rain gear for this game on Sunday, because it is going to be a slick one out there. But I know everyone else has this on their mind too. Big matchup against the Detroit Lions. This is a divisional game. We're going to break down the week in the NFL once we get this microphone situation figured out.
Let's see if we got it now. What about now, Tim?
Yeah, it sounds the same. We can just run with it, though.
Wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. Let me check one more setting here. This is why this show sucks. How about now, Tim?
There it is.
Hey,
here's the guy. Here's the guy.
This dumb redneck troubleshooting on the job. You know what I mean? But I tell you, this is the second screw up of the morning. This morning we had the start time set to Eastern rather than Central, and it's funny. The last thing Tim said was 8:30 Central, right, Clay? I said, "You got it," and I put it in, and of course I'm on Eastern, so everybody it threw everything out of whack. So we thought that everybody in the show, or everybody in the chat, thought the show was going to go live 8:30 Eastern, and it was actually 9:30 Eastern. So, but it doesn't take much for this old redneck to screw stuff up. The chat is lit. Give a shout out to everybody. We got Josh Vallantingham in the house, Chris N, Nathan. We got Ron Samble, Deadfish. A couple of names I can't mention for reasons known, but we see you in here. Appreciate you swinging through. Let's see what else we got. Greg in the house. Good to see you in here, buddy. Mike Berry. All right. Good morning, Mike. Donovan Schilling. I've noticed when we do the morning show, we see some old faces in here, Tim. Pretty cool, man. I know everybody's schedule is kind of a little bit different. A little bit, as Coach LaFleur would say, I believe, sometimes people's schedules are
wonky.
Okay.
So
that's a technical term.
Race car bed. He is not going to get out of bed for this show right here. I promise you that too. But Tim, we got a bunch of stuff we can talk about here. We can start to dive into the lines. I'm trying to hold that off just for another day or so. But any questions in the comments, anything like that we want to hit on as far as the lines, we can do that in real time. But I really wanted to talk about that game day forecast we kind of hit on the last episode here. Obviously, Tim's going to be in Green Bay at Lambeau Field for the huge matchup there, the 3:25 Central kickoff between the Lions and the Packers. And they're calling for rain, guys. This is the forecast as it sits right now. Sunday, they're calling for an 80% chance of rain. It looks like the wind is going to be somewhere around 14 mile an hour. It says cloudy with periods of rain, high 51. Winds 10 to 20 mile an hour, chance of rain 80%. Rainfall near a half an inch. The humidity going to be 87%. So obviously, guys, here's the thing, too. The sun's setting at 4:37. I guess that's local time there. You're going to have that long shadow casting across Lambeau, too. It's going to get dark. The lights are going to be on when that game's over, I would imagine. Right, Tim? I'm sure you.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of those.
Absolutely. This time of year, for sure. Afternoon game. I'm thinking, by the time we're out of there, it's going to be a night game. But, yeah, a little cool, 50s, low 50s, high 40s. 12 to 14 mile an hour winds. sloppy, wet field, man, this has got 6-3 football game written all over it right here. I tell you.
Some people roll their eyes when they hear it. I love it, man.
Yeah, me
I'm a
too.
big fan of old school football. I think I was born about 60 years too late, to be honest with you. Mandy says that all the time because I'm like, man, I would love to go back and see what it was like in the 50s, just hit a diner or something. You know what I mean? But
smoking a lung dart in the stands with coach, just hanging out. Everyone's wearing a suit to the game.
The best one, there's an old NFL films. If you go to the Vault, NFL films, I think it's called the Vault. And there's like 3 different series. I've got them on DVD. And it's a bunch of stuff that didn't make the cut from NFL films. And there's one thing where this is like probably 50s, 60s, and they're showing a crowd shot, and this guy's cheering, and as he threw his hands up, his shirt comes up, and he's got a pistol on his side. It was just like, this is unbelievable. And nobody ever got shot. You know what I mean? Nothing ever happened, right? It was just everybody's good. It was unbelievable. I seen that. I was like, no wonder that did not make the cut at NFL films.
Yeah, no kidding, right?
Different time back then for sure, man. All right, so obviously the forecast, that's going to be a big storyline there going into Sunday. Going to lean heavy on the run game, I would imagine. I'm so glad Josh Jacobs is a Green Bay running back because kick that thing down in the four-wheel drive. The way he runs, man, he just seems like he's so – I'm trying to think of traction's the main thing that comes to mind for me. It's very rare you see Josh Jacobs slip, right? It's like I call him heavy-footed, but not in a bad way, right? When you hear heavy feet from a running back, you think, okay, they're slow-footed. Not the case at all with Josh Jacobs. It's just he can plant and go with the best of them. I mean, we've seen it in all the highlights that we showed last, from Chalk Talk, and obviously kicking up the dirt, plant and go, making 2 guys miss, taking it to the house for what was it, like 38 yards, whatever that run was. 38-yarder, I think it was. Josh Jacobs, I think, is the back you want in the backfield for this game. And I kind of feel like Chris Brooks, too. Don't get me wrong. Emmanuel Wilson, I think he's good to go as well. But Chris Brooks kind of seems like a similar – just like he's a good plant-and-go guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. We always talk about speed with running backs. We talk about ball carrier vision. We talk about ball security. We sometimes gloss over agility. You've got to be an agile player to play that position, and that's Josh Jacobs all day. That's why you don't see a lot of wasted motion. You'll see a lot of plays where he may get hit right at that line of scrimmage, but knows how to turn his body, keep the feet moving, and still get a yard or two and turn it into a positive and not a loss. I think Brooks runs like that as well. I think Emmanuel Wilson runs hard and agile as well too. So you feel really good about our guys out there on Sunday because I don't think even the rainstorm is probably not going to slow down these offenses too much. I mean, these are 2 really, really good offenses, but it's going to affect the pass game. I don't care who you are. So there's going to be an adjustment to the game plan. I would anticipate seeing a lot of carries. I think Josh Jacobs had 25 carries last week. I'm sure he'll have 75 carries this week. It's going to be a heavy workload for the running backs. And really cool to see Chris Brooks getting meaningful snaps here. And we'll get another look at him on Sunday and see how he looks. I'll tell you, I like him in the pass pro for sure.
Yeah.
He's a blocking machine. He's a menace back there. So we're going to need all hands on deck to beat the Lions. And I'm just glad we got these guys in the backfield.
Yeah, and the FBI he displayed on that 22 Rolodex there to go down at the end of the game so they could run the clock down, kick the field goal like this. He seems like a great pickup. I hope he's going to be a Packer. It's crazy on the bottom of this roster. There's several guys that I'm like, man, I really want them back next year. Ben Sims is one. Obviously, Chris Brooks is another one. A very small sample size, but you kind of see, man, he just gets it. Emmanuel Wilson, I think, is another guy. His pass pro and his just contributions in the passing game in general has skyrocketed this year. That was his big negative last year. And obviously now he's kind of stepping into his own there. I think that's a good thing. I'm trying to think of some of the bottom of the roster guys that are really kind of popping out to me like that. Those are 2 that come to mind right off the bat. Obviously, Bo Melton, Malik Heath with his blocking ability too. Those guys, I want to see them stay on the roster at least going into training camp where you got that high floor. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then if you can add something, when I say going into training camp, I'm talking about get them secured after the re-signing period. Get those guys secured to the futures, whatever it is you need to do to maintain rights to them. And then when you go into free agency, you've got a higher floor to work with. Okay, now do we can we find 2, 3, 4 guys that are better than these guys to raise that floor even higher? Because really, that's how you got to this point. You've got these guys like a Ben Sims. You got him over DeGuara. That's the reality, right?
Yeah.
And I know many people still see DeGuara as a fullback. It really wasn't the case in Green Bay. They played him more at wing than they did actual fullback, right? So they tried to convert him to that tight end in Matt LaFleur's offense, which is more along the lines of the Sean McVay offense as opposed to Kyle Shanahan. But
I agree, and that's obviously why DeGuara didn't work out. We talked about trying to put a square peg in a round hole. Maybe some of the things we were trying to utilize him and ask him to do that just didn't fit his game. And it's not a knock on Josiah DeGuara at all. I mean, that dude, talk about a great person and a great teammate. That's the kind of guy you want on your team. But at the end of the day, if he doesn't fit the mold in your offense and isn't executing, then you got to make a change. And Ben Sims was an improvement, a massive improvement, actually. It's fun to watch him out there play the position. And we'll see what happens. We know Matty likes his tight ends. So I'm sure when we look forward here, at the receiver room, it's, the tight end room is going to come into play as well. And we like our pass catching tight ends, but no block, no rock, right, Clayton? You got to be able to get it down on the ground in the run game. If we flex you back there to the wing or even into a fullback look, you got to get it done. You got to be able to be the sift blocking machine as well as the pass catcher. So playing tight end is one thing. Playing tight end in Green Bay and in Tupac LaFleur's offense, it's a whole nother ball game for sure.
Definitely. And as you can see here, let's see, I think it was Adam Block in the chat. Yeah, Adam says Josh Jacobs' yards after contact has really been beneficial. Absolutely. And here are the top 5 rushing leaders across the league. Josh Jacobs is now 4th in the National Football League in rushing yards. He's just behind Jordan Mason, who, man, what a surprise he's been for the 49ers. I don't think it's any coincidence that it's in the Kyle Shanahan offense, and all of a sudden you get another young running back no one knows about, and bang, he's right there toward the top. They'll get Christian McCaffrey back, it sounds like, fairly soon. He might be back in time for the Green Bay game. I'm not sure. But Jordan Mason at 685. You got Josh Jacobs right behind him at 667. Obviously, the leader, Derrick Henry, 946 yards. Tim, he has more 20-mile-an-hour runs this year than anyone else in the league.
That just doesn't make that. Derrick Henry should be
impossible, right?
He should just be. Yeah, that's not even possible. He should be illegal. That's not. There's just no way. He's that big, that strong, that fast. Guy is an absolute monster and a freak of nature, and nearly impossible to tackle. So it doesn't surprise me that he's at the top of this list.
Yeah, I agree, man. Randy Cleaver's in the chat says Jacobs gets stronger as the game goes on. He truly does, man. You could see it too, and he took that to heart last week when Jordan went out, and I think he said it after. It was some interview I heard him in. He said we just wanted to prove that we can win the ball, we can win running the football. I think he said, I just wanted to prove that, which is awesome because that's a team leader. Your guy goes down in Jordan Love, and listen, we're all excited about Malik Willis. He has played perfect, and I'm not exaggerating. He has played perfect for what they've asked him to do. I mean, PFF agrees. You look at the passer rating, it agrees. You look at how he's protected the football, how he's effectively ran the football but not tried to force it. Like, everything you need him to do, he has done. But when Jordan goes out of that game and the game plan has to shift a little bit, Josh Jacobs is like, hey, get on my back, man. And I'm so glad that Goody signed him. Again, tip your cap to Goody for that free agent signing, kind of making the best of a crappy situation, losing Aaron Jones and going, it got to the point where it's like, we might not get this guy back. Let's go get Josh Jacobs real quick. Again, nobody's happy about losing Aaron Jones, but if you were to say you got to lose Aaron Jones, who are you signing? I mean, I don't think there's anybody else in the free agent market other than Derrick Henry that you could have said that's the dude right there, right?
Yep. And I don't think Derrick Henry would have been the dude for our offense.
Right.
As much as I love Derrick Henry, fun to watch. All the things I just said about him are true. I don't see him fitting into this Matt LaFleur scheme as well as Josh Jacobs has proven to play. So
I think it's a fair point, man.
Yeah.
We play so much out of the gun, and I know Baltimore had to adjust their offense a little bit. He's a really good setback. Like you come get under center, or at least in the pistol, you want him to get kind of a run and go, right? As opposed to sidecar, stop, start, go type thing. And obviously Green Bay, we're getting into more pistol. We do run ace, but you can tell Matt LaFleur really wants to work a lot out of the gun as well. So I completely agree with what you're saying there for sure. Let's see, Randy Cleaves, we already hit on that one. A couple of players that guys are naming toward the bottom of the roster. Ben Holden says Kalen King. I'm excited. That's a guy we were excited about early in the year, Tim, and we never really got to see him, right?
Yeah, he kind of popped a little bit during camp, and then kind of
faded away, right?
Kind of faded and fizzled a little, during the preseason and stuff. But somebody that's still on the radar. I mean, we love our corners, and we're going to need corners too. We talk about that position. We looked at the injury report yesterday. We got guys that are banged up, some guys that may or may not go. And you talk about that rotation right now between, Eric Stokes and Carrington Valentine kind of sharing reps and stuff. Now is really a great time for a guy like a Kalen King or one of these guys to just step up and demand some snaps of their own and see if they can go out there and make a difference. But I think we're just going to have to roll with what we got now. But yeah, I mean, looking at the depth on this team, it makes you excited. But yeah, I wonder what happened with Kalen King and how it's looking for him on the practice squad right now.
Yeah. And Omer says, yes, King, the 7th rounder, looked good in camp. And again, you see these guys flash and then they disappear. And then a year and a half, 2 years later, they pop up and they're Rasheed Walker, right? It's like, holy cow, we got a starting left tackle. That's kind of cool. So you can tell there's a process, there's a method to how Matt LaFleur and his coaching staff brings these guys along, right?
Yeah, not everyone is Evan Williams, right? Evan Williams just kind of came in. I think he came in, made a mistake once, got yelled at, corrected it, and never made a mistake since. And he's just been crushing it out there. So everybody develops at different rates, right?
Yeah. Randy Cleaver says, you think King could return punts? The way that Kalen King plays, first of all, I'm going to answer that real quick. I have no reason to think he would be a good choice for a punt returner. Now, when you think about, or even a kick returner, but when you think about what makes Keyshawn good and effective at doing that, he kind of plays fearless. You got to have a little bit of that edge to you. And then if you put on Kalen King's tape at Penn State 2 years ago, and then you've seen what he did early I think it was in the preseason, he flashed a little bit. He's a very physical corner, especially like kind of out of the slot. He does kind of feel like he's, of all these players that are on the backside of this roster, he's one that could be kind of a Keyshawn Nixon type as far as that fearlessness and how he loves to hit in the run, all that stuff. Like Keyshawn's played the run really, really well this year, especially early on out of the slot. But yeah, so I wouldn't mind exploring it. I would imagine, Randy, they've looked at every option, and that's why they're settling on Jaden Reed and our boy, obviously Keyshawn Nixon, the best returner in the game.
Do you think that the fact that Key has stepped up this year and is, like you said, playing better in these run fits, I tell you what, he's tackling better for sure.
Oh, no doubt.
I don't know if Keyshawn spent the whole offseason working on tackle form in drills or whatever, but dude is tackling like a linebacker out there, and I really like to see it. I'm wondering, I guess my question is, do you think maybe that's why they're kind of steering away from giving Keyshawn 100% of these return duties, because he's playing so many snaps on defense and we're asking him to do a lot more than we did last year? I mean, he's definitely playing more defensive football than he did last year, whether that's boundary or slot,
It's a great point. And not only that, I'll take it a step further, too. I think you make a great point, but a step further, when you play him as the outside corner, the game plan is built around him being on the outside, him and Jair. So if he gets hurt returning a kick, now that game plan goes out the window and you're throwing in. I mean, you've seen it with Evan Williams going out. They had to throw him back to the slot and bringing it up. You know what I'm saying? So there's probably a little bit of that too. But I think the snap count, like you said, plays the biggest role in that. Like, hey, he's gonna need a breather here or there. Again, I don't think Keyshawn is like a Pro Bowl caliber player at the cornerback position. I don't think he is like a high-end starter. But I think he is above average at a minimum when it comes to playing outside corner and even in the slot. And, right now that's that high floor. When we talked about the potential players that the Packers should re-sign this past offseason, he was the guy at the top of the list. We need the return abilities, and you need to set the floor in that slot corner room. They did that, and then all of a sudden you're able to draft Javon Bullard. Now he can play in the slot in the pinch, and Keyshawn can kick around, do whatever you need to do. So I kind of feel like we hit that one on the head there. But yeah, I think once you get into the game plan of right now, he's playing outside corner. He's pretty much playing every defensive snap. Yeah, you're going to need a lot more of a breather, obviously. So it makes sense. Omer in the chat said, Bo Melton, the man, needs to return punts. He can run like the wind, and he's very agile. That's the thing too. Now, again, Omer, we talk about this all the time. It takes a different kind of cat to return punts. Like, you have got to be absolutely fearless. I'm not saying Bo is or isn't, but it takes a different person, and it's spatial awareness. It's also that awareness of knowing what's coming downfield at you. Do I feel this? Do I not feel this? Where's the block? There's a lot that goes into it, obviously. I'll also say Bo Melton as a punt gunner, I see people slandering him because he's missing tackles. Bro, you heard Matt LaFleur talk about it in the locker room, because I heard the slander a couple weeks ago, 2-3 weeks in a row. It was just like, Bo Melton he doesn't need to be the punt return or the punt gunner because he can't tackle. He's running right by guys. That is what they're taught to do.
Yeah.
Is force, put pressure on that guy. It's okay if you miss as that first guy there. The goal isn't necessarily you to tackle him. It's you got to get there as quick as possible, make him uncomfortable, try to force the fair catch or let it bounce. That's the overall goal. And then if he does catch it, you need that gunner to put pressure on that returner to make him miss, slow down the momentum, and here comes the second wave. It's not just about that guy needs to go down there and clean people's clocks. We want him to tackle him, don't get me wrong.
And you'll see those once in a while. The gunner will get down there, and it's a quick wrap up or an ankle tackle right away, and it's a great play, but that's a bonus, right? The main factor is get your butt down there and be a problem for that return man. Like you said, it's a team game. You got 10 other guys behind you. Hopefully they get home.
Yeah. Yep. And let's see. The other thing too, if you want to go and watch someone who just did it at an extremely high level, made the Pro Bowl every year as a special teams guy. There was a guy on the Patriots, and I'm trying to think of his name now. God Almighty, I've said his name 1,000 times. His dad played in the NFL. I can see his face, and I can't think of his name, but he was their specialist, and the dude was just unbelievable. If you go turn on the tape for the Patriots the last 2 years, you'll see him all over. Just go punt team, and you'll say, I can't believe I'm blanking on his name. Slater, that was his name, Slater. If you go watch him play gunner, when I see Bo, I kind of see a little bit like, okay, this could be our Bo Melt, or it could be our Slater on that team there. He was team captain every year, just a phenomenal special teams guy. So that stuff matters, man. It really does. So I think Bo's on the uptick as far as the value on the team, and he's another one of those guys that's like, how can we keep his rights and keep him on this roster, right? And it might be something that you end up signing him and go, hey, look, let's give you a 3-year deal worth $2 million per because he's a special teams contributor. He's also that guy. I'll tell you this: as much as I like Slater for the Patriots, Bo Melton, hands down, is more of a contributor on offense than Slater ever was in New England. It was just strictly special teams, so you get that extra value there as well, for sure.
I could see that happening too with this receiver core. Like you talk about trying to keep guys here. How do we keep this receiver room intact? Budgetarily and looking at the salary cap.
Mm-hmm.
I look at Bo Melton. I look at Tay Wicks, and there are guys on this team that I think are willing to take deals that are not necessarily stupid, crazy money. And as long as it's not insulting, as long as they get paid, they get off those rookie contracts, they get a little bit more money. I think guys are bought in, and they would love to keep the core members of this team together for the long run and go chase down championships. So I'm not saying everyone's going to take pay cuts, but I don't think a lot of these young guys are going to be as greedy as the typical receiver in the NFL might be when they're getting their second contract. I think these guys are bought in, and they want to win a championship together, multiple championships together. So I don't think $1 million here or there is going to really, steal a guy away from the Packers. I think if they had to, make an agreement to get everybody paid so everyone can stay and everyone can play, I think they're willing to do it. I could be wrong, but hopefully that is the case with these guys.
Yeah. Ben Holden says Donovan Jennings, another guy, right? That again, one of these guys, Travis Glover or Donovan Jennings, we're going to look up in 2 years, and they're going to be that next guy that just got kind of molded on the practice squad, or at least some of them probably on the 53-man roster, I would imagine, but didn't see significant time. Then all of a sudden, bang, they're a contributor. Same thing with Jacob Monk, right? I could see Jacob Monk being that dude too, although he is dressed last couple of games. If I remember seeing him in pads and jersey and everything, ready to go as far as on the active roster, at least last week, I know for sure. So he might be getting closer to if Josh Myers goes out banged up like he has here in the past, they may end up just throwing Jacob Monk out there eventually, because you don't activate that dude without thinking, okay, there's a chance he goes in the game, whether it's guard or center. I would imagine it'd be center before guard. And if that's the case, they might be getting a little more comfortable with, okay, if Josh does go out, let's keep Elton at guard and let's throw him in there. But Jordan Morgan, I feel like he's taken a step forward too. And obviously Sean Ryan's there's an argument to be made that Sean Ryan's playing the best football of his young career.
I was just going to say, that's the example, the biggest example of what you're talking about here. That's a guy, here's a guy that early on it was like, what the hell's going on here? What's up with this guy? Is he even capable of playing at this level? We were even asking during rookie camp. And then you saw him improve a little bit last year, but then he made, it was like 2 steps forward, 1 step back. This year, he looks like an NFL lineman. He looks like he belongs. And it's showing up on the tape. And another guy too. Nobody doesn't like Big Sean. Everybody likes Sean Ryan at 1265. His teammates love him. He's a great guy. Always good with the fans. He's the type of dude that fits the mold as a Packer. And it's awesome to see that the on the field stuff is, continue to improve. And he's that dude right now for sure. And hopefully continues to get better as he becomes a veteran,
Definitely. Braden in the chat said, thanks for making the end of the work week a little sweeter. Trying to stay dry out here on the job site in Appleton, plumbing a new school near Appleton North, building America, strength of mojo. Hey, appreciate you out there keeping the country going. I know we get a lot of truckers that email me and text me, and it's absolutely awesome. Trucker John's one. Give a shout out to someone else the other day. I'm trying to think of who it was. I get texts all the time, which is a good thing. And we're eventually going to switch over from email completely to the text line. Probably the Ticket King text line is what we'll call it. But trying to think here who this was. I don't
Wasn't
know.
this guy, was it? I mean, these guys are trucker. That's a bad mother trucker right there. Truck Norris with Tupac LaFleur carrying all those barrels of yak yards.
Exactly. Yeah, here we go. It's trying to get the name. Michael Herman. So Michael Herman, the guy who won the card the other day. He was the one who reached out, and he's a truck driver as well. So we get a lot of truck drivers, get a lot of blue collar people. That's awesome. That's I personally, I relate to those people more than anyone. That's how I was raised. That's how, I'm a blue collar guy. I'm a business owner, but the businesses that we own are working with the public. There's nothing that involves a lot of office space, man. Landscaping business, all that stuff, doing side projects like that. So all about the truckers. Appreciate y'all keeping this country going, and the plumbers as well, like Braden here, man, doing the important stuff. The rest of us just sit around and bitch and moan like our jobs are important. It's really not true. So appreciate y'all out there.
Go out there and get in the skid steer and run some laterals, and we'll see who the men are and who the boys are, right?
Exactly. Everybody looks down on the plumbers and the electricians and all that until they need the plumbers and electricians, and they're sitting in there in their little polo shirts in their kitchen, and their wives looking at them like, "Aren't you a man? Aren't you supposed to be able to fix this?" I'm just saying. So anyway, Jim in the chat says $1 million makes a difference. That player will leave. See Aaron Jones. I don't know the full context of that conversation that was going on in the chat, but I think this is a good point. When that's what made me so angry about Aaron Jones leaving was like, and I understand the argument that, well, Aaron Jones could have given up $1 million too. Aaron Jones gave up a lot of money to stay in Green Bay
already. Yeah, he already did that.
So I understand where he finally drew a line in the sand. But at the same time, on the other side, like with the team, $1 million is nothing to the team. It's nothing. And here's the other thing too. When you talk about that $1 million making a big difference to the player, especially when it's guaranteed. If you guarantee that $1 million, what I mean by it's not much to the team, guys, you could tack on one voidable year and make that $1 million disappear over the course of 3 years. And then with the raising of the salary cap, like it always has, it's literally nothing.
That's kind of what my point was with the guys, that not being a determining factor if they're going to stay or go. Like as long as they get their money, right? If it's got to be creatively structured into bonuses or there's a couple different ways they can spread that money out where your salary or your contract may be a little lower, but you're going to make your money on the back end. Yeah. And if that's the type of deal one of these younger receivers has to take to keep this core together, that's kind of what my point was, that I don't see these guys, just saying, no, I'm going to go take the, the extra 500K or the extra million I'm going to get by going to play for, another team. I just, I'd like to hope that's not the case, but you never know, right? Money talks, BS runs the marathon. So I get it. And a lot of these young players, you really get one crack at a big contract, right? Mm-hmm. Especially a young receiver.
Yeah, no, absolutely, man. And that's why I never get crazy negative against a player that's holding out for money, because like this is their shot to get paid, and we get mad at the players sometimes because they hold out for more money, and then all of a sudden when that player has 2 years left on their contract and the team cuts bait, we don't get mad at the team. We don't go, oh man, that was wrong. He had 2 years left on his contract. It's like that argument sometimes only goes one way. He needs to honor his contract, but the team doesn't have to. That's why, from the business side, you got to look at it from both angles and go, okay, I can see where both sides are coming from there. But yeah, I'm with you though, Jim. $1 million makes a big difference to a player for sure, no doubt. Let's see here. Randy Cleaver says we need to get Goff off his spot. He's different when you get pressure on him. Amen. And let's go ahead and pull this up real quick, Tim. I'm going to go full screen. And these are the defensive stats according to Next Gen Stats on NFL Pro. And we're going to key in on pressures here for a second. So like Randy's talking about getting pressure on the quarterback.
Look at NFL Pro. They got the old school throwback for Green Bay. I love it.
Sick is that?
Got the 50s logo up there.
Yeah, and they did it the second that last week was over. I noticed it popped on the screen, which is really, really cool.
I love it. That's awesome.
It's just attention to detail, and it matters. So when you're talking about quarterback pressure, right now leading the Packers, Rashawn Gary has 26 pressures. We can go watch all 26 of those pressure snaps. If you're rolling your eyes going, no, they're not. Are they really pressures? We can show you. Okay, so we'll just move along with that. Kenny Clark, 14. Preston Smith, 11. T.J. Slayton, 11. Devontae Wyatt, 10. And Kingsley Enagbare, 10. So Devontae Wyatt did not get a pressure last week, according to Next Gen Stats, because I'm pretty sure he was sitting at 10 the entire time. It looked like I think Rashawn ended up with 3. I said last week after watching the game, I counted 4. So I was definitely one off there, according to the GPS tracking with Next Gen Stats. So again, leading the team in pressures. Rashawn Gary, Kenny Clark, Preston Smith, T.J. Slayton, Devontae Wyatt. The big one that catches me, not really by surprise, but it's like, man, he continues to do it, is T.J. Slayton, Tim. Like, and look at how many snaps, how many pass snaps. Does it show the pass rush snaps? Here we go. So only 83 pass rush snaps. Out of these top 5 guys, he's got the fewest amount of pass rush snaps, and still with 11 pressures. Like, his quarterback pressure percentage is best on the team at 13.3%. Next is Rashawn Gary at 13.1%. And then Devontae Wyatt at 10.4%. TJ Slayton's making a case like, man, get this dude on. We know he can play the run. That's kind of his strength, right? Yeah. With that big body in the middle. But it kind of feels like every week we look up and go, yeah, well, so-and-so deserves more snaps. So-and-so deserves more snaps. It happens all the time, right?
Yeah, and TJ Slayton is a dog, man. We've been kind of waiting for him to get over the hump, so to speak. It's kind of a little bit up and down with him, but he's been way more consistent this year than even going back to last year's tape. And I've seen Big TJ a lot of times near the facility, and I got to be honest, man, that's one guy I don't think I've ever seen him smile. That guy is always game face.
He just looks mad, huh?
He is a big, intense dude, and like you said, the strength is the run fit with him. It's not always just the pass rush, but you do see him get through, and he can get pressures. And I think a lot of that is we've always known him as that big, rough and tumble dude. I think TJ's improved his athleticism these last couple of years in the league. It's made him a little faster. He's a little quicker off the ball. Here's a good look right here.
Look at my man.
Yeah, looking for work, not getting washed out of plays. I mean, we could go back and look at tape last year. You see him lose his footing or get pancaked there off the snap. We don't see that anymore. This guy is. I think this D-line group, just like everybody else on this team, they're picking each other up. It's no coincidence that, Devontae Wyatt and TJ Slayton are both playing probably their best football for us right now. And you see those guys putting in work together all the time, and you love to see it.
Yeah. And the same where Rashawn's having to deal with chips a lot of the time, you're seeing TJ Slayton having to deal with playing this nose. You notice how he's lining up in a one-tech. So, like right here, trying to think, it doesn't look like there's a tight end on the field. If he is, he's flexed out somewhere. So this could be an over or an under, but you're seeing him playing the one tech. If the tight end was on this side of the field, that would be an over. If the tight end was on this side of the field, it'd be an under. Okay, so if they are just all wide receivers, no tight end here, which I doubt Minnesota was, you would consider the running back side the strong side. So you actually be playing an under look. But nonetheless, here he is in a one tech again. You see him take on double teams all the time. And watch his legs. He just keeps his legs moving, right? Here's just a single block.
Yep.
Look at him. Again.
But see, that's a pressure right there. Even getting in there and forcing the quarterback out of that's a pressure, man. I don't care what anybody says.
Yeah, and here's the problem. Now, notice this is a great example right here. Notice it's just a normal four-man rush, and there's no one lagging back. Like I know LVN's been getting a lot of slander. We showed you on the tape that last game how he was coming off the edge, and my man, let me actually put us on the screen. I don't know what I'm doing here, Tim. Better be careful with that. So that last game, you seen LVN would engage, and he just kind of played patty cake and drop back a little bit and then act like he's rushing and drop back. He's trying to prevent things like this. Notice on this play here, this is the Sam Darnold scramble. This is one of the only quarterback scrambles we've given up this year. And think back to last year with Tommy Cutlets and other quarterbacks that just ran all over us. It seemed like every other week when we would finally start putting the defense together. The reason they were running all over us is because you weren't being gap sound from a pass rush standpoint. Hafley is getting more pressure this year than he did last year for the most part, and he's doing it in a way where you're really only bringing three or two or three guys, even on a four-man rush, because you got guys laying back. Now, this play right here is a perfect example. Everybody's kind of pinning their ears back. Look, they're getting after the quarterback. The edges are going, right? Gary's working off the edge. You got Enigbari working off the edge. Everybody's kind of going after the quarterback, and watch what happens, right? TJ forces the pressure, and now all of a sudden, that's what happens. That's why you've got to really pay attention to what the tape's showing. Are they truly pinning their ears back and going, or are they kind of bringing this controlled rush to make sure that those scrambles don't happen? Here's TJ again in the one tech. Look at just fighting through a double team, keep pushing, got a hand on him. But again, what happened? Scramble, right? So let's take it back to the beginning. Let's watch the rush this time. Is there anybody laying back, Tim? There is not. See what I'm saying? You got Enigbari looking to the left over here. See how he's just kind of a smack I'm watching. But look, LVN, this is a play that I want to see LVN get up the field. I want to see him beat his guy. Okay, here he is beating his guy, and watch what happens. Quarterback's able to evade. Because you don't have that dude on that underneath level that's a part of the pass rush to stop that scramble from happening.
Yep.
So hopefully that makes sense. But again, we just want to show a few snaps here where TJ Slayton's lining up in different spots and actually providing pressure. Now, there's a reason he's not getting as many snaps as others. The coaching staff knows. Like, look right here, man. My goodness.
Rayshon
up the middle, you see. And again, Rayshon right here, Rashawn Gary, Rayshon, what am I doing? They're gonna run a TE stunt. He's gonna loop around, and that's gonna take the blockers to free up the nickel blitz, which was Keyshawn. Bang. Right?
Yep. Hey, Clay, I got to step away for 1 second. I'll be right back.
Do your thing, bro. So, again, you're seeing TJ Slayton get back there on these pressures. And this is what we mean by pressures and why it's important to have these. Listen, sacks are great. We want sacks, right? But the number one goal is to disrupt the passing game, right? And again, right here, TJ's being a little less aggressive. You see him kind of playing patty cake. He's that guy in the middle to take away the rushing lane. This is probably later in that game, if I would imagine. Let's see. Yep, fourth quarter, 4:04 left. You see they changed the rush up a little bit. So on this play, you notice TJ Slayton, he isn't just like going after the quarterback. Watch him. Or actually, it was Preston that was lagging back. TJ got the pressure. I apologize. So watch how Preston is rushing the quarterback here. He's the dude who's lagging back. Watch him just engage. See how he's not going after the QB? And watch what happens. You keep him in the pocket, and then you end up getting the pressure right there with TJ Slayton. So TJ Slayton seems to be the guy that they just let kind of gun and go there and get after the quarterback. All right, next snap. I think this is him in a one tech, so he's in between the guard and the center. Here's another one of TJ Slayton's pressures. You see the cheat motion that McVay uses. This is one-on-one. Look at that over right there. Look at that swim move. He's just going to kind of punch and swim. Punch, swim over. Could have been a hold. But again, pressure, force the pass quick. Kenny Clark just absolutely annihilated. I think it was Kyron Williams that he nailed there. All right, Kenny again, one tech. You're seeing it over and over and over, right? Him in the one tech. So he's actually playing more nose right here. So this is what they call shade, just slightly to the inside shoulder of the center. He's getting held a little bit. Doesn't matter. Got a hit on the quarterback. Great job. Evan Williams, man. We need him. We need him to play this Sunday if we're going to be effective on defense for sure. So, again, just wanted to show a couple of those. We'll continue to let it run here a second as we go to the chat and see if anybody else has anything to say here in the chat. I know Randy Cleavers, I've always liked Slayton. Slayton brings – he approaches the game the right way. You never hear him running his mouth. It's just like Tim said, he's always got this angry look on his face, and he's just all business. Here he is again, just continuing to stay upright, fighting, gets pressure. This is in the Jacksonville game. So obviously got him a pressure there. All right, I think that's all. So, again, wanted to point that out because TJ Slayton is right there toward the top of the list. He's actually leading the Packers in pressure percentage. And, again, you want to key in on, all right, when you got a guy that's leading in pressure percentage and very close to leading in pressures there, as we said with Rashawn Gary leading the team with 26. Don't get me wrong, he's leading by a large margin to 12 more than TJ Slayton. Then you turn on the tape and you go, oh, I see it. TJ Slayton's actually pinning his ears back and going after the quarterback. You'll notice these other guys like LVM, probably they're keying in on his athleticism to go, okay, you don't be the aggressive one here. You engage, and if you can beat your guy, beat him, go. But if you get stonewalled on the first move, fade back, and let's kind of keep the quarterback in the pocket. Do not let him do what Sam Darnold did, right? And I understand people want to get after the quarterback, but we did that last year. How did it work out for the defense? So I respect Hafley that staring right in the face of people complaining about it, he's sticking to his guns because, again, it's keeping us in these ball games. You know, it's you got to be able to play situational. Like Haf has said the entire time, it's about getting wins. It's about getting wins. Would you rather have the win? Would you rather have 5 sacks this week and a loss, or would you rather have no sacks and a win? I'd rather have the dub. That's just me personally. So, and again, the run stunts come into play as well when you're trying to stop the running game. All that stuff matters too. So that's going to do it for hour 1. For those of you listening on the pod, we'll see you on the other side for hour 2. Appreciate y'all.